10 facts about the Paris Catacombs you may not know. One. So, the Paris Catacombs actually started as limestone quarries way back in the 13th century. Originally, they weren't meant for bones at all. The stone from these tunnels helped build Paris's most famous cathedrals and monuments. It wasn't until much later that they became the ossuaries we know today. 2. Here's a wild number, 6 million. That's how many people are buried down there. The bones were moved from overcrowded cemeteries in the 1700s because it was a real health hazard to keep them above ground. Today, it's one of the biggest collections of human remains in the world. 3. You can actually only visit a tiny part of the catacombs. The rest of it stretches over 200 miles of tunnel. Most of it is completely off limits to the public, but there are these explorers, called cataphiles, who still sneak into the hidden parts for adventures. 4. Believe it or not, people used to hold secret parties and even concerts in the catacombs. This was back in the 1800s, but even today, there are occasional underground gatherings with music, art, and film screenings. It's like this whole hidden scene down there. 5. During World War II, the French resistance used the catacombs as a hideout. They were able to secretly move supplies and people right under the Nazis' noses. It's amazing to think about the hidden stories in those tunnels. 6. And get this, the Nazis also had their own bunkers in the catacombs. There's one under a high school where the Germans stored supplies and planned strategies. It's strange to think that the resistance and the Nazis were both using the same tunnels. 7. Here's an unusual one. In the late 1800s, Parisians actually started farming mushrooms down there. The catacombs were cool and damp, which made for perfect mushroom growing conditions. I guess if you're creative, you can use those tunnels for just about anything. 8. The way they've arranged the bones down there is surprisingly beautiful, in a haunting way. Instead of just stacking them randomly, the workers back then actually arranged the skulls and bones in patterns, like walls with hearts and crosses. They wanted the place to feel more like a memorial than a bone dump. 9. A strange discovery happened in 2004 when police found a full underground cinema in the catacombs. There was a screen, a projector, seats, even a bar and a kitchen. It was set up by a group called the UX, sort of a secret society that's all about exploring and preserving hidden parts of Paris. 10. The catacombs are full of ghost stories and legends. One of the spookiest is about a man named Philibert Despert who got lost down there in the 18th century and died. They found him years later, identified by the keys he was carrying. There's also a story that if you go too deep at midnight, you will hear strange voices calling to you. Creepy, right? The catacombs are way more than a tourist attraction. They're like this hidden, mysterious underworld with all kinds of history and legends woven into the walls. Spooky.